Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, cats and kittens, dogs and fucking puppies. You know the drill. Welcome to a somewhat somber edition of the Wrestling Enthusiast Real Talk. I am Eric Peralta, otherwise known as the Wrestling Enthusiast. And today, as we're speaking right now, it's been a really pretty crazy week. We'll get to that in a minute, but also we'll take a look at this Monday's episode of Raw, and then we'll also take a look at AEW Dynamite, which is a lot to talk about, especially with the fact that there has been some potential injuries in this show, as it's the go-home show for AEW Dynamite. And obviously, we will talk about the Shad Gaspard situation, and we will discuss that in a little while. But first of all, it's time, as we usually do in the Wrestling Enthusiast episode, as we take a look at the upcoming news stories that's been going around. First, let's take a look at how the ratings did in the Wednesday Night War. Let's take a look at the numbers. This week's episode of WWE NXT drew 592,000 viewers, which is down from the previous week, which did 604,000. They drew a 0.13 rating between the 18 to 49 demographic, which is down from the previous 0.15. AEW Dynamite this week on TNT pulled 701,000 viewers, which is up from the show last week, which did 654,000. They drew a 0.26 rating with an 18 to 49 demographic, which is up from the previous 0.23. So yeah, AEW Dynamite still has the momentum going on here in the Wednesday Night War. So apparently, we have been looking at what's been going on, and of course, they've finally got momentum on their side, especially since they know how to do an empty arena show. I mean, look at. I'm not trying to criticize, and I'm not trying to, side with one organization or another. No, I just want to point out there's a way to do it. There's always a way to do these things, even if you have to improvise. There's always ways, and the way I see WWE doing this shit, they're not really doing that good of a job, especially which I will talk about in a little bit. But I've discussed these type of issues when I was reviewing WWE Money in the Bank. When I reviewed it, I criticized that there was a backstage promo with Charlie Caruso, which had a 5.8 second break of silence after the introduction. With me at this time, Drew McIntyre, and it went to, after that, 5.8 seconds of silence, which is... You only do that if there's a crowd. You can't have someone in the background go, eh. Because, see, over at AEW Dynamite, what they're doing over there, they're doing a much better job of doing something like that. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not hating. That's just my opinion. They could do better than that. And then another thing that pissed me off was when the big fight field, that was another thing that I mentioned about. I was like, fuck, what the fuck? Following contest scheduled for one fall is for the WWE Championship. First, the challengers. And they did Seth Rollins from Davenport, Iowa, weighing in at 226 pounds. Seth Rollins. That was the reaction. Like 3 or 4 seconds of silence. I'm like, give me a fucking break. Can't you have at least a cameraman say something? All right. Some background noise instead of hearing fucking crickets. But anyway, I just think AEW does a better job of doing that shit. Having some sort of reaction going on. See, that's something that sets it up. Why can't they just do that? They give them some of their mid-carders some television time. That's just me. There is a news story that just popped up, and it says that Ric Flair has confirmed that he re-signed with the WWE. There was some rumor going around that they didn't sign a brand new contract. His contract expired at the end of 2019. So on Thursday, Flair took from his official Twitter account where he confirmed that he did indeed re-sign with WWE. As he said, limousine riding, jet flying, styling, profiling, then now and forever with the WWE. Woo! So there you go. Ric Flair is still hanging his loyalties to WWE. You know, I always laughed at his TNA wrestling run. I laughed at it because he looked like a bipolar schizophrenic. But at the same time, you know, I mean, his character says it all. You come right here. Yeah, turn my child. Come here. Starts beating his opponent. Yeah, this is temper tantrum. It's just fucking hilarious. Yeah, so, you know, that's pretty cool. Oh, by the way, NXT TakeOver in Your House has been announced. And the first matchup we have on hand is going to be Tommaso Ciampa versus Karrion Kross. I think that's going to be something good. I look forward to it. I think it's going to be some fun. There will be a cage fight as well next week on NXT. That'll be interesting to check out. But next week we will review the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view. I will give you my exact opinions on that show, and I will we'll discuss the matches and see how it broke down and tell them what I think of the entire event. So stay tuned next week on episode 11 of the Wrestling Enthusiast. We will have my review of the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view of 2020. I already sound like Marv Albert advertising it from the NBA on NBC, on the TNT. NBC. Anybody remember that shit? I remember that shit when I was a kid. All right. So we have some backstage updates, and I will update that soon. But nonetheless, we'll talk about that momentarily because this is related to AEW Dynamite that's happened this past Wednesday. There was several guys and several girls that got injured in the show. And we'll take a look at what the situation. We'll explain more on that in a bit. Britt Baker, Ray Phoenix, Matt Jackson. They didn't say nothing about Orange Cassidy, so they all took spots, and yeah, I don't know if this is going to be any significance of it. Ray Phoenix looked concerning because he took an awkward fall when he took the leap, but I'll describe that in a minute. And Alexa Bliss says something about Ronda Rousey. She said that Ronda Rousey's comments on WWE being fake. She says, on quote, "As a whole, we are all very close and we are all pretty much family. So we kind of all think the same thing, but only few of us say it. But I think it's definitely something that hurt, especially because we did welcome her with such open arms. And we did accept her to the locker room and catered to every need that she needed. To kind of say what we do is fake is not fair. It's scripted, 100% finished scripted. But we tell people that. But don't say what we do is fake, because that's just insulting. No one really talks about it anymore after that. It was kind of like we all said our piece and we moved on because we had other things to worry about. We didn't really dwell on it for too long." And she was asked actually about if the locker room would take her back, and she said, "Probably. That's the thing with the people that we work with. Whether we get along or not, we all work together and we all respect each other, and what we all get the job done. There's been people in the locker room that I haven't got along with, but you have to think about it as you're traveling with people 300 days a year. We're all like sisters. It's being like being in a family. It's like being a family reunion every day in your life. But you hash it out, you get it over with, and you work together. And now we all get along great. And we're all one big family. I think she may have some apologizing to do because it was disrespectful, and our company is built on respect. But I don't see why she wouldn't be welcomed with open arms. So it leaves an interesting situation to what has happened with Ronda Rousey's comments, and I personally, I think with her comments that she said that WWE is fake, and much less wrestling is fake, and that the wrestling fans are all a bunch of marks and all that shit. It's very, very stupid. But I think there was a reason why she said that. I discussed about this before. Nia Jax actually made a public comment about it. And she said that, test me, bitch. So apparently she's going to fuck her up, even if it damages her reputation in her work. So, but, yes, I think personally, I think what motivated, and first when I heard these comments, when I heard these Ronda Rousey comments, I thought to myself, this shit had something to do with fucking Travis Brown. Cause I seen Travis Brown, he looks like a prick, and he probably convinced her to say some stupid shit. And my dad says he looks like a possum. So that's what my father said. He saw him fight against Cain Velasquez. I'm like, because something in me wanted to tell him, because I'm like, this is probably motivated by the way Travis Brown must have said something about it. Oh, I might come back to the WWE. And Travis Brown probably said, well, why do you want to jump into the WWE for? Why do you want to get back into that fake fighting? So it was so if she was going to be talking shit, then here's probably the motivation for that. So, for Travis Brown to be saying shit like that, it's fucking stupid, and it's a little bit over the top as far as talking shit about the wrestling industry. But at the same time, it had probably something to do with it. But once he said that and started, I figured that if he was motivated for that type of comment, I was going to say, you should ask Cain Velasquez how you felt in a fight when he kicked your fucking ass at UFC 200, punk asshole. But anyway, that was one reason. The other reason would be is that it was simply a work, not a shoot. It just felt like a shoot, but it was more like a work. Just like the way Shayna Baszler, her promo, the way she cut a promo once in the same episode when Becky Lynch found out she was pregnant, and then she surrendered the title to Asuka. What make what? It was a lot of shit talking, lots of shit talking, but at the same time, it was a promo. I knew she didn't really mean that. She's a heel, so she don't mean that shit. So. Just let shit be. Let's see where this goes. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. If she does have any sensibility of her coming back, and what she should do is at least, if she comes to the locker room, in the WWE women's locker room, she should at least, have an explanation of why she said that. And she should tell them, look, I'm back, but let me just tell you guys real quick. It was just a promo. I was just cutting on Becky Lynch, and a promo I was cutting on on Natalia or some whoever her opponent would be, Naomi, Tamina, or Nia Jax, or Asuka, Kairi Sane, or Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, whoever was involved, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, whoever was involved in that shtick. She should just go on and say, I didn't really mean it by that. I just said that because it's a shoot. No, not a shoot. It's a promo. It's not a shoot. It's a promo. So that's what she should say, and I think that should be a valuable lesson for herself to, that should be a valuable lesson for shooting a promo. So that's just my opinion on that shit. Okay, well, that does it for the news today. So one of the topics, obviously, one of the main things that's been discussed this week has been the death of Shad Gaspard. He was missing when he got caught in a rip torrent when he was at Venice Beach, and when he was at Marina del Rey. That's not too far. Not too far from where I live. I currently live in SoCal, yeah, it's basically him, his son, and I guess his wife. They're out having a fun time at the beach, and I guess his son and him were swimming around in the beach, and I guess they got caught in a rip current right at Marina del Rey. So there was a group of swimmers that were actually swimming around together, and they were just like hanging around waiting for some waves to come in, and then a rip current just started to slowly form, and then it got stronger and stronger, and before you know it, they were in trouble. And he was getting rescued. They called the Coast Guard, and they called the lifeguards comes to take them out and rescue them. They got a mass majority of the swimmers that were caught in the rip current, and they were about to take his son out, and they were going to get Shad Gaspard out of the current, but Shad Gaspard actually said, Araya, you take my son Araya and get me after. So they took his son, and they rescued him from the water. They were about to get Shad next, but as soon as Shad was about to be attempted to get rescued, he was swarmed in through the rip current, and he was swallowed up by the water. So he never survived and just disappeared underwater. And they did about like 70 miles. It was around like somewhere around 60, maybe 70 square nautical miles of with the Coast Guard when they called out to search for Shad Gaspard. But unfortunately, the U.S. Coast Guard, about a day and a half later, they suspended the search, and it ended up becoming a recovery effort. And I said to myself, yeah, it's grim. And sure enough, on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, his body washed ashore early in the morning. So he was identified by the LA County Coroner's Office, and it was confirmed that he's been dead for the past 2 or 3 days. So it's very, very tragic end to Shad Gaspard's life, and I guess he's going to be a hero for one of his heroic acts, saving his son. So, to be honest with you, this is not the first time he's actually. Well, it's the last time, sadly, but it wasn't. This was not the only time he was ever a hero. He, I think it was sometime around December 11th of 2016, I believe. Shad Gaspard was around in Coral Springs, Florida, and I guess he was at a gas station. He was approached by some drunken man. I guess he was drunk off his ass with beer or some shit. And he went up to the clerk, and he was intending on robbing the clerk for all his money. I don't know if he pulled out his gun, and he said, "Give me your money now. You're being robbed," and some shit. And Shad Gaspard actually shoved the man, took away his gun, then he restrained him until police arrived. That was his other act of heroism. So, I think this guy was a contributor to society, and he was a good wrestler. He had a really good gimmick. I remember back in 2006, the debut the debut of Crime Time. And, well, actually, what happened was, as we take a look at life accomplishments, he was in Ohio Valley Wrestling, and he was training from 2002 to 2006. And Tom Pritchard was the one that actually recruited him and attempted to span a career of professional wrestling. And first trained with Sergeant Dwayne Bruce from the WCW Power Plant for 6 months. So I guess that's how he got like some sort of experience. I guess he tried to attempt to make some sort of thing out of professional wrestling. So he had to get some sort of training. Because one thing I know about training, it takes a long time. And you have to get used to certain elements in professional wrestling to be right up there. And I think it takes some dedication. It's time consuming. He was in Tough Enough, the second season of Tough Enough. He had a reputation in OVW from the 2003 all the way to like 2004. And then OVW back in those days was the NXT back in the old days. So it was run by Jim Cornette and Danny Davis, and I believe John Laurinaitis had a say in that organization as well. So they saw what they were recruiting. Oh yeah, Tom Pritchard was also involved in that organization. So yeah, it was developmental, but once he signed a contract, June of 2005, I guess he saw the potential in him to be a WWE wrestler. So once 2006 came along, in early 2006, he fought with feuds with CM Punk, and before you know it, they had a tag team called the Gang Stars, and it was with a tag team with someone called the Neighborhoodie. But the Neighborhoodie was a guy who ended up being JTG. Now they were called the Gang Stars in early 2006, and then they won the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship. And right before they were called up to the Raw roster, to the main roster in September of 2006, and they formed the tag team Crime Time. They started airing some vignettes on Raw, so they were hyping up the debut. And once October 16th of 2006 came along, on that episode of Raw, they defeated the then World Tag Team Champions, the Spirit Squad. Ended up being Mikey and Johnny. I think one of them was Dolph Ziggler that was involved. In November of 2006, Crime Time defeated Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, Charlie Haas and Viscera, and then the Highlanders in a Texas Tornado match that was voted by the fans because this was WWE Cyber Sunday 2006. A few months later, at the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view back in 2007, they won a tag team turmoil match against the Highlanders, the world's greatest tag team, Cade and Trevor Murdoch, Jim Duggan and Super Crazy, which was a weird tag team combination, but it was interesting. So they earned a shot at the tag team titles. But later on that year, at WrestleMania 23, Crime Time made a cameo, and then they started a dance party with Eugene and some WWE legends in the backstage area. So yeah, I remember that little spot at WrestleMania 23. Back in June of 2007, Deuce and Domino, they got in a feud with Deuce and Domino, and they tried to make this like an interbranded tag team match, but what happened was there was a little thing where the Deuce and Domino beat the Crime Time, and then they fought when they fought Crime Time. They had this little rivalry going on. So right after they got beaten by Deuce and Domino, Crime Time ended up stealing their car. Then they took it to the Briscoe Brothers auto shop to sell it for parts, and they were chanting that money, money, yeah, that money, money, yeah, that money, money. Yeah. So anyway, they had contributions to OVW, and they lost their OVW Southern Tag Team titles because they had it for over like a year. They lost to the James Boys. I don't know who that is, but I gotta research them. But it's just it's really really funny that they had this little thing, someone happening. Back in August of that year, they returned to New York City for an episode of Raw, and then they lost to Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. So they lost by disqualification, but they had a little thing going on back then, 2006 and 2007. They got released in 2007 and 2008, and they actually had to adjust. They were wrestling in the independent circuit for a little while. Then they got rehired in 2008, and they started to get a little PG-ish afterwards. Because I remember what happened back in 2006 when Crime Time debuted. I remember in their entrance music, there was a little thing that said, "Yo, yo, 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 pop a 40 and check your rollies. It's Crime Time." Then they changed it because we were getting PG-ish. 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, which I already ranked that among the worst wrestling years. I ranked it as among the worst WWE wrestling years in that company's history, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. Shad and JTG came up as Crime Time back in March of 2008, and then defeated Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. So they pretty much continued their little rivalry going on. They kind of made an adjustment to their more family-friendly entrance music. So it was now yo 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 Shad Gaspard and JTG. It's Crime Time. So Crime Time started working with John Cena, and they interfered during John Bradshaw Layfield's rivalry with John Cena. So they had a feud with Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes, and then they had a match with them at Unforgiven 2008. So, it was a little up and down type thing. I think the last time they were probably relevant was, I hate to say that, but I guess the last time they actually used them for anything good was when they were part of SmackDown in April 2009. And as part of the supplemental draft, they wrestled with John Morrison. And they had a match against Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas, and Ricky Ortiz. And by that time, by July 31st of that year, they defeated the Hart Dynasty. And then they would become tag team championship contenders. But they lost to Chris Jericho and the Big Show at SummerSlam that year. And that SummerSlam was a bit questionable. I didn't go to that SummerSlam. But I went to the one in 2011. But anyway, Crime Time competed at the 26-man Battle Royal at WrestleMania 26. They eliminated Luke Gallows before Shad eliminated JTG. Then Shad later eliminated himself after trying to eliminate William Regal. That was the pre-show. That was the pre-show to WrestleMania 26. If I remember, that's the one that Yoshitatsu ended up winning that Battle Royal. And that was precursor to, in my opinion, one of the top 5 lowest WrestleManias. I say from the worst to the least worst. I say WrestleMania 9, WrestleMania 11, WrestleMania 26, WrestleMania 27, and let's see. I will have to say WrestleMania 29. Match of the night of that one was CM Punk against Undertaker, but that fucking WrestleMania felt more like a Raw than a WrestleMania. an 80,000 seat Monday Night Raw episode. That's what that was, and that's why I didn't like that WrestleMania. So it took me a while, to come think of that on the fly. But in my opinion, if I remember the year numbers correctly and the numbers, I say yes. So the worst from worst to the least worst, we have at least the bottom five, in my bottom five, with the worst to the least worst. I say WrestleMania 9, WrestleMania 11, WrestleMania 26, WrestleMania 27, WrestleMania 29. Not good. But back to Shad Gaspard. The group Crime Time broke up after April 2010, and they were trying to push a singles. They're officially disbanded, and Gaspard turned heel on JTG. So yeah, it was a bit much, but it is what it is. Shad Gaspard really never got anything going in his singles career. He ended up going back to the developmental territory with Florida FCW. Gaspard was in a match on the May 14th episode of SmackDown. He defeated Jesse Goiver. And that was the end of his WWE run. He went to Japan, worked for Antonio Inoki's Inoki Genome Federation, and that's when he teamed up with Bobby Lashley. So he had a couple of matches with them back in February of 2011. And then he was approached in the independent circuit multiple times. In the most recent years, he wrestled for Bar Wrestling. And as a matter of fact, he continued wrestling with JTG, and that was his homeboy. It was his tag team partner. He wrestled against the likes of Damian Darling, Danny Demento. He went all over. And then he fought against Big Daddy V in the independent circuit. He was in the XWA Extreme Rumble one time, and they were defeated by Colt Cabana and Dick Justice. So, they continued doing what they love to do, and they were continuing in the roles in professional wrestling. So, the contributions to professional wrestling cannot be thanked enough from Shad Gaspard. And, sadly that he passed away the way he did, at least we would know that he was a hero, saving his son's life, and stopping that bank robbery from crooked ass criminals back in Florida. It's just a wonderful gentleman. I'm pretty sure he was, and I'm pretty sure he was a good guy too. So thoughts and condolences go out to Shad Gaspard's family and wrestling fans all over the world. I'm pretty sure we'll give our thoughts and condolences, thoughts and prayers and condolences to the Shad Gaspard family. So, yeah, Shad Gaspard, man. Some fortunate tragic situation. Okay, we're gonna get to the AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday's episode. We're gonna get back to that and start reviewing some what happened this past Wednesday. Before I do, I would like to give a quick shout out to the Ramblin' Alcoholics podcast. Those guys are just phenomenal and hilarious trio of drunk guys that like to talk about random shit, especially right now since everyone's still under quarantine. Depending on where you live, it depends, unless you're living in Texas, which they let dine-in restaurants happen, even though they still have to practice social distancing. I would like to give a shout out to the Ramblin' Alcoholics podcast. Check them out on Spotify or on Apple Music or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Make sure you check them out. The Ramblin' Alcoholics podcast. They're funny, and nothing is off limits in those type of shows. So check them out. the Ramblin' Alcoholics podcast on Apple Music or Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are. And I also like to give a quick shout out to the Kickback LA podcast and the Mega Man podcast. They're also available on Spotify and Apple Music or any type of Pandora or any type of podcast you will be able to find. They're over there. They're also hilarious. Check them out. It's just so fun to listen to. It's like hanging out with a group of friends and then talk about shit that you like, something that you don't like, and some things that you have in common with. And then if you like beer, you like to drink beer, they're drinking connoisseurs. Ramblin' Alcoholics podcast, the Kickback LA podcast, and of course the Mega Man podcast. Check all three of them out on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Go check them out. Check them out later on today. All right. So to change gears from the tragedy of what happened with Shad Gaspard, let's change gears and we'll talk about this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. And boy, oh boy, I got to tell you, I'll be remiss to say that was a physically demanding episode that I just saw this past Wednesday. So what happened in the whole show? So this is how I critique it. So I turn on the TV, I tune it into AEW Dynamite. The way the show starts is we get a little package for what happened the past week and leading up to Double or Nothing. And then once the little video package, which was good, perfectly well-placed package, we get an intro of what happened last week. So it's hyping up because this is a go-home show. So a limo pops up. And then it's the Inner Circle. Jericho starts getting out first, along with Sammy Guevara. And Alex Marvez tries to interview Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho says, what are you, a stupid idiot? And that's fucking funny. He tried to embarrass Alex Marvez. Nothing against him, but he looked like he was scared. But anyway, they were just kind of like partially tormenting the guy. And, it's like, well, what do you plan on doing, for the elite and all that shit? And it's like, it's going to be something going on. Then we get face to intro music, the start. They're going to advertise the announcers with JR, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur. And they were talking about what they're getting ready for Double or Nothing, but also later on today, and this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, we have a face-to-face with Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake Roberts. They're all going to sit down and discuss face-to-face. Plus, we got a tag team women's match announced. Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander taking on Dr. Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. We'll get to that in a second. And then they also advertise MJF versus Marco Stunt. I will get this. MJF has never been in a bad match. Well, is that streak going to continue after this review? Let's see. Then they said the first match on the night is going to be Jon Moxley versus number 10 from the Dark Order, Brody Lee's personal servant, as he is the one in charge of the Dark Order. And 10, this guy comes up, the exalted one, Brody Lee, walks out at ringside. So yeah, it's just it's a lot to look forward to. It's just I really find it interesting. So we were off to an interesting start. So once the Dark Order starts coming in, Brody Lee gets on the mic. He asks 10 to take a knee. Then he gets pissed at him, says, "Take a proper knee." Fuck that. I would not be a part of that fucking group. Anyway. So he gets a mic, says he's no god, but he's a man. He's a man's man with a purpose for possession of the AEW belt. So this is just pretty much promoting Brody Lee versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title on Saturday at Double or Nothing. So come this Saturday, he has to win, and he must win in order to pay his loyalty for his men. 10 is now a high knight in the Dark Order. Now he has to hurt Jon Moxley. And then here comes Jon Moxley walking from outside the arena, or should I say Daly's place. He enters the ring. The match starts right away. And when the match starts, he started getting on the attack. We give him a running knee. He gives him a suplex. Then hits 10 with an inverted hip toss. He stalls for a little bit. Then he stopped him, a fucking mud hole at him. Started stomping him. Then 10 started to counter with a pump kick. Moxley gets knocked down and then gets sent outside. And then 10 picks him up and throws Moxley's ass into the barricade. He gets tossed on the apron and slammed again on the apron. And he throws him back in the ring. Gets a near fall. Starts punching on Moxley. And then a shoulder block by Moxley started countering back. 10 hits a spine buster. Moxley gets a kick and a DDT. There was a little bit of time stalled. But then he hit number 10 with a pile driver. And seemed like he started talking shit to the camera. And once after he started talking shit in the camera, he comes in and he did a paradigm shift. 1, 2, 3. Jon Moxley defeats 10. And it was a good intro to the start of the episode. So 6.5 out of 10. It wasn't the best, but it was very solid. So it was very well done. So once after the match ended, Jon Moxley started to get a whole bunch of chairs and started tossing them in the ring. And then Jon Moxley grabs a mic and then grabs 10's arm and starts wrapping it around the chair. And then Moxley gets a mic and starts talking shit about the Dark Order, says you bunch of sons of bitches. You got 10 seconds to get in the ring or else you're going to break his arm. And Brody ended up appearing his face on Titantron. It says, I will see you there on Saturday. And as far as 10 goes and rhetoric with the Dark Order or whatever, he says he'll gladly make a sacrifice. So I'll see you at Double or Nothing on Saturday. So then Jon Moxley gets the mic and says, all right, I guess I'll see you on Saturday. Then he grabs a chair and then bam, swings it on 10's arm, and 10's arm is fucked. And that was the way the segment ends. So we head to commercial after that. Once we came back from commercial break, announcers started talking about Double or Nothing. Then right after, MJF gets on the mic, starts talking some shit. He knows how to cut a promo as a heel. I mean, I will give MJF credit. He is a classic old school heel. His style is like he's a fucking asshole. He's a prick. He's a scumbag. He's a jerk off. He's a douche. You know, and that's and when it comes to like fucking heels, when you're portraying a heel, that's how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be an asshole. You're supposed to be a dick. You're supposed to be a jerk off. And, you know, I mean, the last person that did some shit like that was Roddy Piper. If you remember that shit from the Piper's Pit segments, especially the one with Jimmy Superfly Snuka, which they'll never bring up again. But as long as we wrestling fans are around, we're always going to bring that shit up. But anyway, so the next matchup is MJF versus Marco Stunt. And the first thing on my mind, by the way, during this matchup, JR gave condolences to Shad Gaspard. So, yeah, that was nice of him to do that. MJF versus Marco Stunt begins, and I said to myself, how the fuck are you going to put this over? It's like a 4'10", 100-pound little small guy, a.k.a. fun-size Marco Stunt, taking on MJF, who is a full 6 foot, 215 pounds. My question, how is this going to go over? So anyway, I looked at the match, and the way the match started was MJF slammed Marco right away. Marco tried to punch like a little shorty. MJF then bear hugs him, and then Marco tries to slap him a couple of times as he tried to roll up MJF, but he was hanging on and hanging on and hanging on and hanging on. And he said, shove it up your ass. And he fucking gives him the fist and says, fuck you, shove it up your ass. And then he punched Marco Stunt. Then he slammed him, wrestled him down, picks his fingers, and puts it in his face. Then he pulls Marco's hair and then gets slapped and kicked in the shins by Marco Stunt. Then he gets clotheslined and punches, gets clotheslined, gets punched, and then let's go for the rope break. And right behind the referee's back, Wardlow started choking him out near the ring apron. He started choking him with the ring rope behind the referee's back. Then he let him go. As soon as the referee turned around, MJF tossed Marco, and then he put him on the top rope. He's trying to stagger MJF a little bit. Then he drop kicks him and then starts putting some funny offense on Marco. Started to use like some speed, and then he used the ring apron and then sends him to the steps once they started fighting outside. Not much of a match. Not much. I can't really. I cannot say much about this. MJF won this matchup. So then he cut a promo with sarcasm, saying no one would kiss Marco. But I'll tell you what he could do. He could kiss his ring. So he kissed his ring, and then he punched him. And as soon as he punched him, Jurassic Express started to show up. And then they started to defend Marco. And that sets up for MJF versus Jungle Boy at AEW Double or Nothing. The match was a 5.5. This was MJF's worst effort, but it's not his fault. It's kind of like a size deficit. Just like I said before, how are you going to put this over? So, well, easy to say, it wasn't over. Well, next segment we got Jake the Snake Roberts going face to face with Arn Anderson. So Tony Schiavone hosts this little segment. And then Jake and Arn starts talking, saying, Jake says that Lance is a mean son of a bitch and will rip Cody's heart out. And Arn Anderson started saying, nope, that's not going to happen. If a pissant could pull a freight train, they hook it up. That was clever use of words there by Mr. Arn Anderson himself, Mr. Enforcer. So they started talking a little bit of smack to themselves. And, I enjoyed this little segment, but the two old-timers, two old schools, and, Jake Roberts trying to fuck with his mind a little bit. Arn Anderson tried to say, I'm gonna show you you're the wrong person to fuck. I'm the wrong person to fuck with. So, and then he said, I got a question for you, Jake. Are you going to toss that stupid snake on Mike Tyson? Oh, shit. He calls Brandy a bimbo, and oh, boy, he would love to bump into her again. Oh, boy, man, this is getting personal. And then Arn Anderson started getting up and shit. Oh, fuck. Here we go. The referee's card started coming around. They almost knocked down Tony Schiavone. And then the referee started coming down. And then, yeah, that's the way the segment ends. So the ruckus was stopped right there by the... So funny. He wants Jake to be real limber because when he spine busters Jake's ass and slams his head where the sun don't shine before you know it, oh shit. Nice little segment. But, you know, since these two legends, we got to be careful with these guys, especially in the current conditions we're in right now. So, let's see how it goes. There was a commercial, and then when we come back from commercial, there's a video package of Pac. And Pac started laughing, then not laughing, goes into full Iron Man 3 Mandarin, and he cuts promo. So what? Is he bipolar schizophrenic or what? Don't really know. So, the next segment, Orange Cassidy, and the best friends come out. Orange with his thumbs up. Phoenix tries to cheap shot Orange Cassidy, but he dodged it all lazily. So he enters the ring, removes his shirts, all nonchalant. It looked fucking funny. I like this match between Rey Fenix and Orange Cassidy. So I really enjoy this matchup. The way the match started was when Orange had a super deep pocket dive. Orange got sent into a corner. Then he dodged, hopped on for a missed kick. Then he ducked, missed a headbutt. Then he catches a leg, then trips on Rey Fenix. And with all the deep pocket in lock, because they started doing this shit. But you know what? Surprisingly, because usually when Orange Cassidy starts showing up at these type of matches, he starts off slow with that sloth style, the King of Sloth style type of wrestling maneuvers. So you know, he kind of does it a little differently in an alternate fashion. There was a moment where Orange Cassidy hits the ropes, and then he gets like a flurry of moves, then to a pinning combination. Then he got a 2 count. Then he went for a crucifix pin, but Rey Fenix kicked out. Phoenix then hits the ropes. Orange ended up rolling, and then Phoenix stomped the back of his head. So yeah, that was trying to fuck him up. Phoenix sets him up for a powerbomb. Then he lifts Orange to the shoulders, bounces him off the ropes. We get a Canadian destroyer from Orange Cassidy for a near fall. That was good, and it was a greatly done Canadian destroyer. And there was a high kick to Orange head, and Phoenix hops on the ropes and then jumps over, then drops a leg to the neck. And he gets him good. And I noticed once that happened, he got a scrape. He had a scrape, and that was kind of visible during the match. But anyway, Phoenix had an arm lock from behind, and he pulled him back up with both legs, and then he clinches his head. So he started giving him chops to the throat. He had a back with a hold, and then he drops an elbow. Then Phoenix with a knee to the back. Then Orange turns into the move. Phoenix sends him into the corner. A boot to the neck, sending Orange out of the ring, outside the ring. So once that little shit happens, I really, it was intriguing to see how much maneuvers Orange Cassidy could actually pull off. But it was actually really incredible to see how physical he is. And someone told me, well, actually, Orange Cassidy is one of the most physical wrestlers you could ever see, even though in his gimmick he doesn't look like it. He's just, slothy, slow, and lazy. That's why whenever they introduce him, they say, his opponent from wherever, winging it, whatever, freshly squeezed, Orange Cassidy. So, yeah, that's his ring entrance right there. But don't let the gimmick fool you. He can move when he moves. That's what I like about this guy. So, anyway, and I can attest to that, too, by the way. When I saw him in Pomona wrestling at Bar Wrestling against Chris Masters, former WWE wrestler Chris Masters, I will say that I will say he is physically impressive. He knows how to wrestle in that ring, especially with his pockets in his fucking hands. That is impressive. Very impressive. So anyway, around midway towards the match, coming up, Kip Sabian started showing up, and he brings a fucking ladder near ringside. So I'm like, what the fuck is up with this shit? But keep in mind, he is a participant in Saturday's casino ladder match, which is gonna be a fucking car crash, if anything. A little bit towards the end of the match, Orange grabs Ray Phoenix's head. He shoots for the legs, sends Felix to the apron. He gets a right hand and blocks it. Orange Cassidy sends his head to the buckle, stands on the second rope. Orange hesitates a bit, and then Phoenix took advantage of the situation, gives him a double underhook. Orange with his hands in his pockets. He gives him a fucking headbutt, diving headbutt nonetheless, a la Chris Benoit, but with his pockets in his hands. So that's a bonus points right there. Phoenix flips him over with a sunset bomb, near fall. Orange goes into the corner. Phoenix with a splash, chops to the chest, and does it all very fast with a muscle buster, and spins and drops his ass. And 1, 2, nope. It's a near fall. High kick to the face is missed, and Phoenix hop over. Orange drops him on his head. And then 1, 2, 3, nope. And then once Orange got distracted by Kip Sabian, it looked like a low blow behind the referee's back, and then he rolls him up 1, 2, 3. Ray Phoenix ended up winning this fucking match. Very technical. Very technical. Cassidy was a star. He fucking carried this match, and it shows. Ray Phoenix, definitely a close second. He did really good in this match as well. I think him wrestling in this match is elite status. It's just incredible physicality. Doing the maneuvers that they were pulling off in this match was nothing short of spectacular. So I gave this match a 9 out of 10. And it was incredible. So here comes the car crash antics. SCU started coming out. They tipped Sabian off the ladder. And then comes Jimmy Havoc to attack SCU. Then the four start brawling outside the ring. And then Phoenix sees the man and decides to jump the middle rope, the top rope, spin around, then fly, and boom! But here's the crazy part. When the four guys, SCU, Jimmy Havoc, and Kip Sabian, were all fighting in ringside, they were supposed to catch Ray Phoenix from landing on top of them so they could fucking land on him and do a crazy moonsault dive. But what happened was Ray Phoenix, when he did that fly over the top rope and landed on them, his legs landed on the group of wrestlers, but his hip and his back landed on the floor. Holy shit. And I said to myself, no, he's got to be hurt. He's got to be fucking hurt after that. That didn't look good. Right after that, all of a sudden, Colt Cabana comes out of nowhere, bounces off the middle rope, and does an Asahi moonsault right on the group. In the meantime, the referee is is attending to Rey Fenix. Now, here's the good news about this situation. I'll tell you this in a minute. Right before this shit ends, best friends started coming out. They got up and they grabbed Orange Cassidy and they tossed him outside the ring. And before you know it, Orange Cassidy stood tall with his buddies, the best friends, gives a thumbs up. And Orange Cassidy might have gotten a little fucked up there too, but not as fucked up as Rey Fenix. I do have an update on Rey Fenix's situation. He is not injured. He is banged up, and he was hurting yesterday. However, today he announced that he was banged up a little bit, but no serious injuries. He was able to go on his own power, and he is going to participate in the casino ladder match this Saturday. So expect expect some interesting developments during the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view. So I will describe them to you as soon as I review them, and I'll discuss on the podcast next week. So, match number 4, the women's tag team match, Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida versus Dr. Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. And obviously this is setting up for Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship. And that match is no disqualification and no count out. So that is going to be a very interesting matchup. Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander started to go for a suplex on Nyla. But she ain't having it. Chris is the legal woman in, and drop kicks Nyla on the ropes, and then she hits the ropes, and Nyla trucks her down like nothing. So Nyla's already overpowering Chris Statlander, even though Chris Statlander is actually, she's been pretty good too. So she sent Chris to the corner, stomped a boot into her neck, sends Chris to the outside, and then Nyla got her with a body slam and then a leg drop. Britt isn't interested in a tag, so she just dropped down. That showed a little bit of dissension between the two heels, because she was in line for a title shot too. Already a near fall within 3 minutes into the match. Once a snapmare from Nyla hit, she clinched the head and shoulder of Chris as Shida was looking around in the corner. Nyla turned the hold into a modified dragon sleeper with a knee into the back. So it was kind of like a submission type style wrestling maneuver right there. So it's they've been doing a bit of wrestling. Britt was basically looking on the outside in until she got tagged in from Nyla, and she tried to talk herself out of it until Nyla started choking her, forcing Britt to tag her. So then she goes to grab Chris Statlander and then got it rolled up, but kicks out right away. She kicked Chris out of the way, and then she stepped on her head. Chris was fighting back, and she tried to get a tag into Hikaru Shida. She tagged in Hikaru Shida once Chris missed an enziguri that was supposed to land. That might have been a partial botch, but hey, shit happens. So Shida comes in, and Nyla started to stop her, but Shida sent her into the corner, and then whipped into Britt, into Nyla. Now, here's a problem. When that little spot, when she whipped Britt into Nyla, once she got a knee from the corner to Britt, Shida clung in the back on the outside, and then she ran, and then she hit a knee to the hanging head of Britt Baker, and then she got a kick to Nyla just for the hell of it. So there was already, but here's the crazy part, and the crazy part was a little bit right here towards the late part and the middle part of the match. This is roughly around 7 minutes in. Nyla Rose was attacking Hikaru Shida, And then she whipped. She got a tag for Chris. Started attacking. Give me a second. Well, actually, what happened? Once I saw that, there was a little thing that happened. When Sheeta Irish whipped, when Britt Baker was on the turnbuckles, she was at the corner, and when Nyla Rose got ripped, she got knocked down. She was sitting up on near the bottom turnbuckle, and when she got whipped into, when she got Nyla Rose Irish whipped into the corner where Baker was, she just rolled on Britt Baker, and Baker just fucking, I guess he smashed her damn knee, and Britt Baker was hurt. Britt Baker was definitely hurt in this one. I think Nyla saw that situation happen, because not only was that a badly done botch, but it was but it resulted in injury. So what happened was, I guess Nyla saw that Britt Baker was hurt, and she was the legal person in. So she ended up dragging Britt Baker into the corner, and then she went into the corner, and then she self-tagged in. She self-tagged herself into the ring. She started beating up on Chris Statlander. Then she went after Hikaru Shida. And then once right back in, Hikaru Shida started tagging back to Chris. And when she came in with a cover, the medical team was checking on Britt's knee. It did not look good. And I said, oh, fuck, another injury in the show. That's not good. Shida got squashed by Nyla, and then her fucking weight basically pinned her in. 1, 2, near fall, but she used her weight. Nyla has to raise herself to escape, but she beast bombed to Shida, and then she pinned 1, 2, 3. There was some miscommunication in this match with the sloppiness, but Britt Baker and Nyla Rose won, but it didn't look good for Britt Baker as she was getting checked out by the medical staff there on ringside. Nyla Rose, I'm pretty sure it was just an accident. It was something that was a botch, but, it was an accidental one. I mean, in my opinion, I don't hate on Nyla. I don't hate on Nia Jax from WWE either. But if anyone's going to take a botch fest over that, I say Nyla Rose will be a better improvement over Nia. That's just my opinion. But anyway, so after the matchup, we got some extracurricular activity. Nyla grabs a table from the outside and then sends it into the ring as Shida is laid out nearby. Nyla sets up the table, puts Shida on the table. Nyla heads to the top rope. Chris ended up attacking Nyla Rose. Then Shida ended up getting up. She runs up the corner, locks the head of Nyla, and she sets up a superplex, and she actually fucking hit her. She actually fucking hit the superplex, and Nyla crashed into a fucking table, shattering the damn thing. She actually did that. That was something. There was a little backstage segment with Alex Marvez, with John Moxley. John Moxley cuts promo saying that business, sports, life, and everything is a reduction to violence eventually. He gives some examples saying it's only going to get worse from here. On Saturday, it's going to get pretty bad. 280 pounds flipped upside down and dropped on his dome is enough to knock out a rhino. Huh? Well, that's interesting to mention that. But anyway, he says when Brody wakes up on Saturday, he'll realize he has nothing but a suit and a bunch of dudes in a gimp suit to match his help and to help his bruised ego. Oh shit. Sean Spears apparently has a news network. We're trying to mock CNN, those fucking twits that they are. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but he said that he agreed with Dustin Rhodes to retire. And he brings up how easy it was for Dustin to swallow pills a few years ago. And I'm like, wow, what the fuck? That was a bit steep. He doesn't have a match this Saturday. It's a travesty to him because who does he have to piss off to get a match? Maybe he'll go to business for himself. So he challenges Dustin Rhodes. Dusty is actually Dustin's father. The late, great Dusty Rhodes, American Dream. Then he got American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. But anyway, his brother Dustin, a.k.a. Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, they're going to have a match at Double or Nothing. So, with that in mind, here comes the main event. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. Matt Hardy started the match when he slapped the shit out of Sammy Guevara, slapped the taste out of his fucking mouth. He worked the fingers in the corner, and I think he may be biting Sammy, I think. Keeps headbutting Sammy, sends him into the corner, and then Matt whips him around the corner. I like this match. It was really good, and the match started off good. Matt started squeezing Sammy's face into the post. Yells at him to open his eyes. Does some good fighting outside the ring. Then he did his little deletion kick to the face of Sammy Guevara. Then he gives him a twist of fate. But then Sammy, he countered the shit out of it. He kicked the back of Matt Hardy's head. And then Sammy started to get some momentum going on. So, with that in head, it was a fun little match. I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah, especially when the way Sammy Guevara's chemistry with Matt Hardy is top notch shit. I like the way Sammy brought in some momentum, taking over with Matt, like around, for example, in the middle of the match, when Matt Hardy was starting to reverse him a little bit, there was a moment where he reversed Matt Hardy reversed Sammy Guevara, and then he got some of his own chops, and then he whipped to Matt, and then sending his chest into the corner pin, and then he got a near fall out of the whole deal. Sammy started getting him some knees to the back of Matt Hardy's head. Sammy hit a body slam on Matt, and then sets up a get a standing moonsault. Then Matt Hardy rolled out of the way, and Sammy just ate the floor mat. And then Hardy hits him with a couple of elbows to the face, bashes Sammy's face into the buckles a couple of times, just like the way the old schoolers used to do it. Then a twist of fate, Sammy ended up rolling outside. And cleverly like a heel move right there. So that was cleverly done. Sammy Guevara knows how to play a heel well. I got to give him credit for that. Kind of like MJF in a way. So anyway, after couple of super kicks, and then a bump into the ropes from both, there was a few near falls after that. And once Sammy started dragging Matt into the corner, Sammy heads for the top rope. Then he dives with a shooting star press, and then Matt moved the hell out of the way. Then a twist of fate on Sammy Guevara, and he nearly landed on his fucking neck. And Matt started getting crazy because there was a near fall. So Matt removed his boot, bites the toe of Sammy. Ref tries to stop him. Sammy flies out into the corner with a knee to the face. Gets a near fall out of the whole thing. Sammy on the apron. Matt stands with a springboard into a cutter. Another near fall happens. Sammy gets on the top rope. Goes for another shooting star, but Matt has the knees up. Lands on him. It looked painful to me. Inside cradle and a pin for nope. A near fall once again, and then boom. Twist of fate. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I love this match. But I felt it was a bit overdone with the dramatics of the near falls. So many finishers were executed. But then there were so many near falls at the same time. I mean, the match gets an 8 out of 10. But it didn't really have to be necessary. Probably wait for the pay-per-view for that shit to happen. Because, a whole lot of things had to happen. So, fuck it. Make it that's how you make a good spectacular match. It happens a lot in AEW, but it's kind of hard to find a lot wrong when the match is excellent. So, once this match was over, Matt heads outside to the ring, grabs a chair. On screen is Jericho and Hager, and they're with Kenny Omega. They're waterboarding his ass right near the football stadium, near the ring, near the goalpost at the end zone. So Matt started running towards the stands. Jericho hits Omega in the gut with a fucking baseball bat. Then all of a sudden the Young Bucks started popping up and they fly out from the stands. Well, that lower part right there that heads towards the football field. They jump on Jake Hager and Santana and Ortiz crossbodies. The Bucks are crazy. Let me just say that. Matt and Nick Jackson are just fucking crazy. Jericho comes to help. They're gutted by the upper hand. But then here comes Matt Hardy, comes from Daly's place. Ortiz started to get the bat, and then he attacks Matt Jackson. And then Nick started flying from the left to attack Jericho. Santana helps Jericho stomp him out. Oh, look at this. Hangman Adam Page just comes out of nowhere and started to head straight to Jericho, setting him into the goalpost, faces up. Omega tosses a trash can at the inner circle. Hangman yells at them to go on, get. And if that's the most cowboy shit thing you've ever heard of, that's what it is. I'll take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. Okay, that's enough. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega pose with Matt Hardy as Hangman Adam Page leaves by himself again. So the show gets... I'll give him an... okay. There was some fuck-ups, but there was some good shit. So here's my final score here. John Moxley versus 10 gets a 6.5 out of 10. Solid matchup, so I'll give him credit. Marco Stunt versus MJF. I'm sorry, but that was a above average match, and that's fine. 5.5 out of 10. That's fine, but there was some physics here that were missing. Ray Phoenix versus Orange Cassidy. That match gets a 9 out of 10. And I like the way both of these guys wrestled. Incredible. Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. This match gets 6.5 out of 10. I hope Britt Baker has nothing too serious, because she's been doing a hell of a job being a heel. And then finally, Matt Hardy against Sammy Guevara gets an 8 out of 10. I love that match. It was a great main event. If you compare this show to Raw, Raw ain't got nothing. Raw ain't got nothing on AEW Dynamite, especially the way they fucking produce matches. So, AEW Dynamite kicks some ass on NXT, and they win the weekend again. Not to say that NXT wasn't good. It was good. I like the show that they did this week. I like the Karrion Kross's challenging Tommaso Ciampa. I like the fact that they did a Shotzi Blackheart package, which was trying to go after Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. I like that. I like the fact that Mia Yim took on Santana Garrett. I like that that they're gonna have the Yimitless with Keith Lee and Mia Yim versus Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, the Poison Pixie. The two women are Mia Yim and Candice LeRae. They're both SoCal representatives, so I give them credit. Dexter Lumis fighting Roderick Strong. I like that match too. It showcased how Dexter Lumis is, and he's getting shot with a bigger talent now in that part of the brand. Um, Io Shirai versus Rhea Ripley. I love that match. I thought that was a great main event. But Charlotte Flair intervening and attacking Io Shirai just made her look like a bitch, a self-serving twat, and that's how. And I say she's playing that role rather fucking perfectly. So I give credit to Charlotte Flair on that. That show was a 7.5 out of 10. They did really good. It was a lot better than last week, but I still thought AEW won. So that's just my opinion. Rating wise, I think they agreed with me. So there you go. Okay, one more of these shows I'm going to review, then I'm going to close the program. Monday Night Raw. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. I found major flaws. And a lot of flaws. And I kind of don't understand why they went in this approach. I mean, but I kind of liked it. I liked the way they were going in some of these matchups. But at the same time, why are they doing this type of shit? Well, anyway, should we explain how the matches went and how the show started? Obviously, the way they honored Becky Lynch from, as it's funny because, it's not hard to smile for Becky Lynch's situation right now. And again, still fresh off of her becoming pregnant. So, again, I got to give my congratulations to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins as well. I give both of them credit to the happy couple. And Asuka becomes a champion, and she's going to have a celebration. And Charlie Caruso. She's in the middle of the ring. And that reminds us that Orton's challenge wants to challenge Edge to a good old-fashioned wrestling match. And here's a part that I don't understand. While these guys were giving their promos, and they kind of sucked. I mean, Edge's promos was better, but Randy Orton's promos was shit. They give this shit about this could be the greatest wrestling match ever. Okay. What the fuck? Come on. What the fuck? Why are you putting that pressure on them? The greatest wrestling match ever. Oh, ask Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole for me, would you please? Ask Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart for that, if you find them. You want to ask Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin? What about CM Punk and The Undertaker? What about CM Punk and Brock Lesnar, SummerSlam 2013? What about that? Daniel Bryan, CM Punk? Does that shit ring any fucking bells? Anyway, I'm getting carried away from the main point. They're giving them that much pressure. Edge accept the challenge. Fine. It's obviously going to happen at Backlash. That's a pay-per-view that I really don't give a fuck about, really. I mean, unless they do something different, but they're going to be doing the same shit. They're going to be doing the same shit they did at WrestleMania. They're going to be doing the same shit they did at Money in the Bank. They're going to be doing the same shit at Backlash. I'm sure of it. So anyway, it looks like Seth comes down, cuts a decent promo. I will give him that. He knows Ray is at home healing. Wants to say to him from the bottom of his heart, say he doesn't have to say this when they meet face to face. He tells Ray, "You're welcome." Here comes Humberto Carrillo, saying that Ray is his idol and Seth is a fucking coward. He comes over to Humberto. Buddy stands in between him and Seth, so Seth appreciates it. And he finds out that he's not fighting Seth. Seth is not dressed for it, so Buddy is. So Buddy Murphy versus Humberto Carrillo, and it was a decent match, but you didn't give them enough fucking time. Now, if I'm a man that's upset that someone possibly permanently blinded my idol, I wouldn't be sufficient to fighting his disciple. Nor would I care if he wasn't dressed. I would just beat his fucking ass. No rating on this one. The match was too short. How the fuck can this be justified? So backstage, Corbin cuts a promo, and lucky for me, I have the sound footage for King Corbin to cut in the promo, and here it is. Exactly, that's what I thought. Okay, Liv Morgan cuts a promo saying she's just like her mother, and she's kind of like in tears. And when she lost her job and all that stuff, and before but she got back up, and she started and she got back up, and she was as strong as ever, and if I take the same characteristics or whatnot, blah 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 blah, I could become the next Raw Women's Champion. Okay, maybe that's her intentions, maybe. Okay, here comes Charlotte Flair once again. She doesn't bore us with her attributes, but she does it anyway. Okay. She leaves up the challenge for SmackDown. There are levels of being a champion. She calls out Ruby Riott for no fucking reason. But that's because Ruby Riott's in Angry Bird mode. Apparently she had nothing to say. I mean, say something. Actually, she can't. She probably could say something. She could probably improvise. But here's one problem. The fucking writers won't do it. And if she were to improvise, she'd get in trouble in the back. What kind of fucking shit is that? So watching the match, I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, a couple of basic chops, fine. And Charlotte tries to choke up Ruby. And Charlotte asks the cameraman if Liv is watching. How do you like that? Was Ruby fighting for her all of a sudden? I thought they hated each other. And I was already getting pissed off already. Because I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So anyway, watching through the match, there was a head scissors that sent Charlotte into the buckle. Gets a near fall. Ruby stomps the wrist, then twists it, but ends up eating an elbow. Charlotte misses a right, and then Ruby, with a flatliner type of move, she goes for a submission. And then when she was locking up the wrist and then bending the fingers back, Charlotte is too strong. She stands up with Ruby on her shoulders, goes for a pin, but Charlotte kicks her hand, stomps on the chest of Ruby, and then gets another stomp in. Ruby, with a surprise roll-up, gets a near fall, goes for the right kick, but Flair catches it, stomps, and then puts the figure 4 into the figure 8, and then Ruby taps. The match is a 4 out of 10. It was just a jobber type move for Ruby Riott. Charlie Caruso back there, and once again, they did the shit with me at this time. Bobby Lashley, 4.9 seconds of silence. Okay, now I'm getting pissed. I'm getting fucking pissed. Lashley and MVP come in for a promo. And, what the fuck, man? What are these guys doing on Raw? What the fuck? Okay, after that, commercial break, and then we come back from commercial. The ring is filled with balloons and streamers, and Kyrie introduces Asuka, her friend, and Raw Women's Champion. Asuka receives flowers from Kairi. That was nice. Says thank you. Asuka is so happy. She is a champion. She can't believe it. This is all about Asuka. She was the NXT champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, Women's Tag Team Champion, and now Raw Women's Champion. And Kairi called her a Grand Slam champion. And then Kairi was going to sing a number for her in a flute. It was funny. I thought it was funny. Okay, I'll tell you why I say that's funny. Go into YouTube, and because Asuka has her own channel, and there was some parts where she started playing the flute, the same type of flute that Kairi Sane had on Monday Night Raw, and the way she started playing the flute was hilarious. She tried to play it like the theme for Zelda. And she started laughing. That reminded me of that for some reason. I don't know why, but it reminded me of Kana-chan TV. Yes, that's the name of her YouTube channel. Her if I were you, I'd check out Asuka's channel, Kana-chan TV. She's actually pretty funny. I didn't know that she was friends with Kikutaro. I didn't know that. I saw Kikutaro wrestle back in November in bar wrestling in Baldwin Park. Yeah, I'm impressed. Anyway, so when Kairi was playing the flute, playing a little tune for Asuka, here comes Nia Jax. Nia Jax says there's nothing to celebrate about. Becky is on maternity leave, which means Asuka lucked her way into a temp job. So soon she'll be replaced. She'll be replaced by her. So she wants to take a look at her, but I'd rather not. I think she's showing the bitch effort of being a heel. So that confirms it. She's a heel. She says when she becomes champion, there will be a real party. Asuka ain't having it. She just goes on and attacks and beats the shit out of Nia. Then Booty bumps her face out of the ring. Nia shakes it off, and Asuka started screaming at her. And we see R-Truth cut a promo. R-Truth cut a promo in the middle of the ring. And then he said, I'm still trying to go after Tom Brady. It's Rob Gronkowski. Because he's 24/7 champion. I'm going to go ahead and do my best R-Truth impression. The thing is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go after and get my 24/7, 48/7, 7-Eleven, I-95, 401k European Championship. So fucking funny, man. So he gets in the match with R-Truth, and there's not much to say. Full Nelson slam, and grabs Truth, gets another full Nelson in, and Truth taps out. Yeah, that's no rating. By the way, right when Lana watched that, she started throwing a fucking shit tantrum. Somewhere else in the back, Nia Jax watches in close proximity of the Kabuki Warriors. And Kairi Sane walked away from Asuka, and Nia Jax just lingered in. There was a match between for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Bliss Cross Applesauce, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross takes on the Iconics, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. And I laugh at this because it's so funny how Billie Kay and Peyton Royce communicate in the ring. And it's funny because, you can hear Billie Kay yell, and she's fucking hilarious. It's so fucking fun. You know what? And then when I went to Monday Night Raw at the Staples Center back in June of 2019, I was sitting at middle seats. The Iconics wrestled against, I don't know who they bet. I think it was Becky Lynch and Natalya. Yes, it was Becky Lynch and Natalya teaming up with each other. And you could hear Billy Kay yell from the middle seats. It's so fucking funny. There ain't much to talk about. There was a couple of mixed tags up in here. Peyton got Nikki on the ropes. Tag from Billy. Nikki splashed her with a crossbody. Alexa started coming in, gets a tag, gets clotheslined, then chops on her chest. Alexa started dropping some knees, and then before you know it, a couple of near falls came by. Peyton was there to stop the pin, but then Peyton sends Alexa into the ring post, sends it to her again, and then a third time the referee was counting her out, and by the time she told her, hey, that's enough, that's enough, that's enough, the third time came in, a referee disqualifies the Iconics. And I don't know about this, but I see a potential fallout, a major happening here. Even though this match gets no rating, because this match was short. After the match, we get a backstage scene where Kairi is playing with the flute again. Nia is behind her. She grabs Kairi and then sends her into the box. Went to commercial break. Back from commercial, Asuka is checking in on her friend backstage. Then she gets into a fit of rage, screaming, gets pissed. And then Nia Jax started walking away. And then Asuka catches up with Nia to scream in her face. Nia just walked away like a bitch. Then Asuka just pulled her hair and then kicked her in the face. And then she landed on a table or something. That's what it looked like to me. Then we got a Shayna Baszler versus Natalya in a submission match. Natty looked okay, but Shayna looked a little better. And the way she got an ankle lock on Natty turned it around and countered. Then she kicked Shayna away and then kicked from Shayna. Then Shayna worked the wrist, twisting the arm. She was doing some grappling wrestling. It's almost like some type of Dean Malenko shit right here. There was no breaks because she got a submission here with a double leg Boston Crab. It wasn't really that well executed, but when she tried to get the ropes, they couldn't break the count because it's a submission match. Once Natalie locked the leg, Baszler was escaping. Then she put a sleeper hold on Natty. Natty reached the ropes. Then Shayna hooked the arm. And then Natty tapped. Shayna looked good in her victory, but Natalya has been looking a little too meh. This match was a 5.5 out of 10. There was some dissension going on between Angel Garza, Austin Theory, and then Andrade until Selena Vega comes up, and they started to sort shit out from there. After the match, by the way, Natalie is in the ring, and she started showcasing frustration while the crew was setting up for the KO show. So she dumps the chairs, she starts throwing the signs, she gets pissed off. Okay. So Kevin Owens battles with Apollo Crews versus Angel Garza Andrade. I don't have too much to say about this fucking match. It was another short fucking match. They're going for the Apollo Crews push, I will say. Running into the face of Owens, a few stomps in the corner, and then a couple of chops to Andrade. It was like a chop fest in this match. I didn't really care too much for it. Apollo got a clothesline, then another kick to Andrade on the apron. Spinebuster to Garza, fireman's carry with Zelina on the apron, shoved from Garza. Theory goes for a right, but Apollo moves and then hits Garza in the face. Apollo with the powerbomb and spit them 1, 2, 3. There ain't much. This show looks abysmal, I'm afraid. I like the direction they're going, but the match quality drug it down. Theory tries to explain himself. Zelina calls the shot on that other than attack Theory, and then Garza drop kicked him. Sure enough, Austin Theory's kicked out. Sent him into the barricade. Fucked him up. With me at this time, the WWE champion, Drew McIntyre. 1, 2. Hey, Charlie, how you doing? Oh, good. I just wanted to ask, do you... Okay, I'm gonna stop. I like, because with that stupid, awkward silence, Drew McIntyre actually went out of his way to say, hey, Charlie, how you doing? See, that is a bit more better than 5 or 6 seconds of awkward fucking silence. Especially waiting for a pop to a crowd of people that is not even at the venue. What the fuck? But at least, Drew McIntyre at least changed his rhetoric a little bit, so that's good. Okay, so Drew McIntyre, he gets credit for that. The next matchup on this show, Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy. This is Murphy's second match of the night. This time, Aleister Black gets a match as advertised. Buddy Murphy wrestles 2 matches in the night. I wonder if he gets paid for 2 times. Anyway, Black tosses his jacket at Murphy and goes in on the offense. He ends up flying outside to kick the chest of Murphy along the barricade. And then another kick sends him reeling in pain, quote unquote. Black sends him into the back into the ring. And then Austin Theory is actually still outside. Seth Rollins is ringside. And then when the match is going on, Aleister goes for a kick. Murphy just moves in, and then Black hits the corner hard, bumping into it. Murphy looks over to Seth, who is still staring at Theory. Murphy grabs Black and looks for a submission, then Black kicks him away. A kick out of the corner from Murphy as he flies off. Black kicks him in the shin. Now, in the meantime, while the match was going on the outside, Seth Rollins reaches his hand out to Austin Theory. Then Austin Theory takes it. And then Seth stands him up in the ring. Aleister kicks Murphy in the face, gives him a knee strike, and it was a good one. But then Black lifts Murphy up. Seth points to Black, and then Theory attacks him. So we get a DQ finish here. Aleister Black is the winner by disqualification. Well, that's one direction that Austin Theory could go to. But this match gets no rating because it didn't last 3 minutes. Okay. Now Murphy starts fighting Black. So Black and Theory is here to hit the finisher. And when Theory knocked down Aleister Black, and then Seth Rollins is in the ring, there is this silence of Seth Rollins staring at Murphy. And then Seth Rollins starts staring at Austin Theory. And he looks at him. And he looks at him. 25 seconds later, you know what he does? He looks at him. I counted this of how much of an awkward silence this was. This was 30 motherfucking cock-sucking, dick-licking, fucked up sons of bitchin', Noah's good, rotten as stinky piss, fucking flat, boring, mother cock-sucking fucking seconds of awkward fucking silence. I turned off the Raw feed and I fucking went back to IWTV and I went back to watching my independent wrestling shows. Because that was stupid. That was embarrassing. And that gets negative points from a negative match. So not only do we have a match that gets a no rating, we have a segment where it's obvious that Austin Theory is going to join Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, is going to join his little faction with Murphy. I know Authors of Pain are on injured reserve, but he's going to join his little fucking posse and add dramatic effect here. 28.4 seconds of awkward silence. Hold on, let me get this thing here. There. That's what I did to my notes. Fuck this fucking show. I stopped watching it. Raw gets a 3.5 out of 10. I know that there were still 2 segments fucking going on. I know that there was going to be a main event between Drew McIntyre versus King Corbin. I didn't give a fuck at that point. I didn't even rate it. And when I didn't rate a show because I'm pissed off, that results in a 0. Lots of zeros in this show. What the fuck are they thinking here? Now, I thought Raw last week was bad. I gave it a 5.5 because there was one genuine moment that stood out through the whole entire show. And that was when Asuka got the Raw Women's Championship when Becky Lynch announced that she was pregnant. Because you can't make shit up like shit that good up. You can't make that shit up. Unless you're making some phony fucking storyline like the way they did with Terry Reynolds' fucking fake pregnancy, with Mae Young's fucking pregnancy, and when fucking the Billa McGillicuddy's fucking thing in ECW. What the fuck? You can't. That's fucking made up. But this shit, you can't make it up. So it's a genuine moment. It gets bonus points. It was a 3 out of 10 Raw, and it got a 5.5 because of that pregnancy announcement. This is minus the pregnancy announcement. You're taking away that moment, and you had some moments that were fun to watch, but at the same time, you had shit matches, and every match was shit in this show. So not a single fucking match of the night candidate in this match. This is a 3 out of 10. No. You know what? I'm going to be a dick this time. 2.5 out of 10. I like the moment. The best thing that happened in this Raw was the fucking... was the Kabuki Warriors doing their little celebration. Then Nia Jax breaks it up. Then they start fucking up Nia Jax. Then Nia Jax fucks up Kairi Sane. Then Asuka fucks up Nia Jax. That was good. If any of the other rivalries and matches were doing that shit similar to what they were doing with Asuka and Nia Jax, I bet you anything, the show would have been so much better than this bullshit that we had. It's fucking embarrassing. I had to rip the fucking writers and fucking bookers a new fucking asshole. I had to kick them right down their fucking throats. I had to fucking shove them up a moose's ass. I had to wax their butt cheeks together and super glue them with the Gorilla Glue and fucking stick them up one by one. All because these douchebag writers want to get their little piece. So that way they could say, oh, with me at this time, the Intercontinental Champion, Drew McIntyre, or whatever is the champion. I know the title's vacant on SmackDown. But whatever the case, whoever the champion is, Bliss Cross Applesauce, or you could have Drew McIntyre, or you could have Andrade, or whoever. But you could make this shit more different without the awkward silence, without the awkward bullshit, without the scripted promos. You don't need that shit. Make it more authentic. This was pure diuretic bullshit coming out of a fucking pig farm pig's asshole. This was the shits. The drizzling shits. And I am ashamed that they fucking said to us. And here's the fucking problem about it. The worst part about it with these stupid fucking writers. You know what they say? They watch this shit and they believe it's good. They believe it's good. That's how fucking stupid they are. That's how stupid, phony, and lame. Because they're not professional wrestling fans. They're a bunch of reality TV show bozo jerk-off scumbag pricks that are just writing for a wrestling show, and then they say, oh, I want my input. What if she says title opportunity? What if he says title opportunity? And then say, Drew McIntyre, well, if he wants a title opportunity. Oh, let's see that part? See that part? That's my part. That's what I did. I directed that. I written that script on that script. Yes, that's it. I'm the one that written that. Fuck you. You gotta be hung in front of your mother. Cock-sucking prick. If I ever were to meet any of you motherfuckers, I'll get a baseball bat, a metal bat, and I'll fucking hit you right in the fucking forehead, scumbag bastard. Fucking son of a bitch. Fucking pieces of shit. Yes, I'm calling WWE television writers fucking shitheads. Yes, they are shitheads. They're stupid. They're ignorant. They're the scum of the earth. They're the piece of shit in my shoe. And I want to scrape that shit off and flush it down the fucking toilet where they fucking belong, you cock-sucking motherfucker. You scumbag prick. You fucking loser. You disrespectful fuck. You're a disgrace to the wrestling business. Fuck you. Well, I finally blew off some fucking steam this week. So, with that in mind, Raw gets a 2.5 out of 10. And I think if any of these fucking writers wants to contact me and say that I'm wrong for producing the television show, challenge me, motherfucker. I bet you I could fucking book a better show than you can, you fucking twit, you kumquat, you fucking Mongol freak motherfucker. Fuck you and your mama and your family and your ancestry, prick. But now that the steam has been blown off on this ship, that's my Raw review, and that's this episode of the Real Wrestling Enthusiast Real Talk podcast. Join us next week as we talk about AEW Double or Nothing, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot better than what they did on Raw this week. I'll give credit to the Kabuki Warriors. That was the pro, the con, every fucking thing else. So there you go. So, with that being said, I will see you guys next week. Tune in for around that time, and we'll talk about AEW Double or Nothing 2020. I'm sure that's going to be a hell of a show. So, with that in mind, we're ending this episode. So, with that said, this is Eric Peralta, a.k.a. The Wrestling Enthusiast, reminding you to wash your ass. See you guys next week. See ya.